This is Hoop Heads North and Hip Hoop Junkies on Raptor Space. This week we're going to discuss the Raptors' toughness and the issues surrounding that, the disappointments and the surprises, and the upcoming schedule.
Hello!
Hey guys, back in Halifax. I'm Romy Kino.
Sean Francois.
And I'm Yui Sampang.
Okay guys, November's over. Let's talk about what we've seen from the Raptors in November, some of the games that we've seen. What are some areas of concern?
The main area of concern, right? Defense. Defense.
Talking about that Charlotte game, they didn't come out at all. After running Indiana off the floor, they put up, I don't know how many points they put up, but the next night they play against Charlotte, and the defense wasn't there at all.
Definitely. I mean, going into that game, the Charlotte Bobcats had a 4-9 record. Obviously, they had just gotten Steven Jackson a couple games before, so they were starting to get acclimated to him being in the lineup. But you're right. I mean, Toronto, if they focus 48 minutes every night to the defensive end of the floor, I think that they'll give themselves more chances to win. Just simple situations like a pick and roll. You had a great point where you said that the Raptors are constantly switching and not pushing through, not moving through screens and things like that. Like just things that they have to do.
The tiny things where you can put in a little more effort, right? Like that's the point of least resistance is to switch on a pick.
Right.
But if the big man can come up and trap the point guard.
Sure.
To prevent them from getting something going towards the hoop. You can have other things like fighting through the pick. Chances are the big man on the other team might get a foul or something, an offensive foul in that case.
Moving pick.
And even if they get a foul in those situations,
so be it. At least it shows that you're pushing.
Effort. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. The offensive and defensive rebounding, specifically the defensive rebounding, you got to put that effort in on the glass, right? You don't want to get out-jumped all the time as far as grabbing those rebounds and limiting the other team's second chance points.
And what about Reggie Evans? When Reggie Evans comes back in the picture, where do you guys see him?
Could be a situation where they have Reggie Evans come in right off the bat and give that team that defensive effort and just that presence immediately from the get-go.
I could see him as a situational starter, like when you're going up against the Dwight Howards, Nene's, and Shaqs and whatnot. Because Bargnani keeps on getting eaten up by those guys, and he should he's more of a power forward.
Right.
Yeah, and Reggie Evans, I think he's what Bargnani isn't. I mean,
they're the polar opposites,
exactly,
right? That's right.
I mean, Bargnani...
Finesse and grit. Not to take anything away from Bargnani, but that's a great point.
Exactly. Reggie Evans is all about the boards.
So what you're trying to say is Bargnani, penne pasta, and the Reggie Evans T-bone steak?
Is the toughness with the Raptors. Yeah. Let's go back to that Celtics game. The Paul Pierce dunk. YouTube it if you haven't seen it. But the dunk...
HoopHeadsNorth.com, it's there.
The dunk with Pierce on Bosch. Knock him to the ground and your thoughts.
Only Triano, Ivoroni, and English, the three coaches, they were the only ones that could come out and had anything to say. I mean, I'm sure, Jared Jack, he said, he thought his teammate was hurt, and so that's why that's where his attention was focused. But to me, you got to be irate about stuff like that. You can't have a guy standing over you and flexing.
Exactly. I mean, this is Chris Bosh. This is your star player.
Absolutely.
You got to be out there for him. Think of the baseball reference. When a team throws at your star player, you come right back out there.
You got to go right back at them. Absolutely. They got to stand up for themselves. No question.
Exactly.
Oh, my neck! Back in my neck! My back! My neck in my back!
And now we're going to talk about the Raptors' surprises and disappointments. So first up, who's your surprise?
My surprise is Sonny Weems. He's athletic. He's got a lot of hops, a lot of nice highlight dunks. When Bellinelli was out, you had him in there playing extended minutes, and he looks good. I mean, he was a guy that was a thrown in a trade over the offseason, so that's my that's my surprise for the Raptors.
That's a pretty good one. And speaking of Marco Bellinelli, that's exactly who my surprise is. Just for the fact that he's been able to be a real delightful spark off the bench. Had some nice consistency with his three-pointer, and has just been able to give a little more offense to the second unit. And he just knows that he just has to come in there and produce. Doesn't have to worry about maybe some of the other expectations that some of the starters have. He knows he just kind of has a bit of a green light when he comes in there, is able to get the offense rolling if it needs to be.
My surprise would be Amir Johnson, another energy bench guy who comes up big like every game, gets all the loose balls, makes all the hustle plays. You gotta love what he brings to the team, and finally disappointments. What are disappointments?
Okay, my disappointment, and I'm not sold on him. I know he's been with the Raptors for a few years. Is Jose Calderon? He's just not there this year. Like, I know he was injured last year, but this year he's healthy. But he doesn't look like the old Jose. Like, I like the Jose when he was playing with T.J. Ford. But I mean, let's look at his stats. He's averaging like almost 12 points a game and 6.4 assists, which is all right.
That's admirable.
His free throws, like, he was money with free throws last year, and he's just off his game this year. And I don't know if it's the new faces that he's not used to dishing the ball to and where people are going to be, but he's my disappointment.
For me specifically, it's overall lack of intensity. There's always going to be guys that are going to be able to, just give you a little more push. But overall, I don't feel that's been there for the Toronto Raptors so far. They just gotta, just get in there and be a little meaner or whatever. Kind of like what we were discussing before with, toughness and everything. I just think that as a whole, they need to be a little more intense with the things they're doing, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I can't, pick out certain stats, but I can say that their defense isn't where it should be, and they just have to come together as a team and work together.
We'll see what happens over this next stretch of games.
Upcoming games, they have the Wizards in Chicago back-to-back on the road. Then we have Minnesota, Milwaukee also back-to-back, one at home, one on the road.
That's right.
Those are all winnable games against not as good teams as they have been playing. So this will be a stretch where if they come out and 3-1 or anything like that, then that's a positive. But if they come out 1-3 or something like that out of this stretch,
disappointment.
then we can start talking about the starting lineup changes
Right.
and whatever that we were talking
And
about.
a lot of
Hey,
things.
I just looked at the schedule. December 18th, mark the date, New Jersey Nets. I predict a win.
Yes, I hope so.
For Toronto Raptors fans everywhere, I hope you're right.
And on that positive note, we'd like to say this is it. See you later.
Hoop heads north and hip hoop junkies. See you next time on Raptors Space.
My back, my neck and my back.